All right, we're going to take a look at sketching some more exponential functions. This time we're going to be focusing on shifting and reflecting of these graphs. So let's remember now that if you have a function, let's say 2 to the x, okay, so I'm just going to look at the function f of x is 2 to the x. We've seen this already. At 0 we're at 1, at 1 we're at 2, at 2 we are up at 4, and then at 3 we are up at 5, 6, 7, at 8. And when we graphed that function, it looked like this, and we had a horizontal asymptote here of the x-axis. So the question is, if we know that this is 2 to the x, what is 2 to the x plus 3? Now remember back when we were doing in a previous chapter our shifting of functions, that if you add 3 to a function, all that does is moves it up 3. If you subtract 3, it would move it down 3. So imagine taking every point that you have here and moving it up 3. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, put that point here, 1, 2, 3, put that point here, 1, 2, 3, put that point here. And you'll see you'll start to get this curve again, but the question is what happens at the bottom here, or the left-hand side? Well, the horizontal asymptote used to be the x-axis, but since everything's been moved up 3, we can say 1, 2, 3. At 3, we're going to have a horizontal asymptote here. So it's going to shift your horizontal asymptote up by 3. So that's basically the general graph of that function there. Let's take a look at a different example. If you take 2 to the x plus 3, and this time you add the 3 up in the x and not down here, then that's going to be a left or a right shift. So remember, left and right shifts go opposite of what you would think. So you would think that this would be to the right 3, positive 3, but actually go the opposite, so that's left 3. So what we would do is we take our original graph, which is this one, we move every point to the left 3. So I move this point 1, 2, 3, move this point 1, 2, 3, move this point 1, 2, 3, and then move this point right here 3 units, 1, 2, 3 right here. So now what you do is you've got this graph here, looks like this, and that's not very good, but you get the idea here. And then you think about what happens with the horizontal asymptote. If you're moving to the left 3, the horizontal asymptote stays the same. So essentially it comes down still and still goes towards the x-axis. So the left-right shift did not have any effect on our horizontal asymptote. Okay, now let's do a combination of some shifting and reflecting. So I'm going to erase this, start off with a clean graph. So I'll put on here our original function 2 to the x. So at 0 we're at 1, at 1 we're at 2, at 2 we're at 4, at 3 we're up here at 8. Okay, so this goes up like this and it tapers off. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to do this. So we start off near x. Remember, that's going to be a shift to the left by 3. Then this is going to reflect it over the x-axis. And then we're going to move everything down 4. So let's try and do one point here. Take this point right here, I'm going to move it to the left 3. So it goes here. Now it reflects over the x-axis. That means it comes down. It's 1 unit above the x-axis. Now it becomes 1 unit below. And I'm going to move it down 4. Okay? From here, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 from there. So boom, there's my point. Okay, so let me erase these so I don't get confused. Now what we'll do is we'll take this point. Remember, to the left 3, 1, 2, 3. Now reflect it over the x-axis. That means it's 2 units up. Now it comes 2 units down. Now from there, down 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We can put it about right there. Okay, I'll erase those so I don't get confused. Let's do another point here. This point right here comes over 3, 1, 2, 3. Gets reflected. So right now it's 1, 2, 3, 4 units above. I put it 4 units below. Right here, and then I go down 4 from here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's my next point. And again, I'm going to erase these so I don't get confused. And you can get the basic idea. You can do the same thing for the next one, and what you're going to have is something that looks like this. And notice now that our x-axis, if you think about the x-axis in our horizontal asymptote that we used to have, it gets moved to the left 3, which doesn't do anything. It gets reflected. Well, it's already on the x-axis, so reflection doesn't do anything to it. But then it goes down 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Out here, I can draw my horizontal asymptote. I know that it must go and get closer here. So that's the graph of that function. So you can see here how you can use just the numbers on the outside. If you know what the basic function looks like, it's just a matter of moving it around, reflecting things.